Hey guys, this is going to be another little update on Euro. I'm going to have a little look at Aussie dollar as well, right? So, can you do me a quick favor? Could you maybe put in what country you're actually watching this from? Just type the country, simple as, right? I'm not going to ask for anything else, just that. Now, in the grand scheme of things, right, last couple of days or the end of last week, I started tracking this Euro move, right? And one of the things that I've shared is that it didn't really give us any kind of signals just yet, right? And the one area that we were looking for, this was obviously um, back on the 4th, which was I think last Friday, was we were looking for another potential sweep down, right? Now, as you can see, we had a little ping to the area, but not really as deep as I would have liked. Okay, so this one here, I shared obviously earlier with the members that it didn't get the entry that I wanted. Right, just kind of move on to the next, and there we go. Okay, so obviously not exactly ideal in terms of what I would have liked, but this is kind of the beauty of this mechanical type of setup, right? Is if you think of it logically, without a decent move or without a decent pullback, there's no real interest at the moment in terms of taking a short. So it's not until we see some kind of change in the direction, in the behavior, that actually we'll be looking for another type of setup. Okay, so this is quite relaxed in the grand scheme of things. This is a nice, kind of overall setup. If I drop down to a smaller time frame, again, I'm going to use just the daily, the 4 hour, and the 15. What we can see on the 4 hour at the moment is we've got this little bit of consolidation move right now. Obviously, part of the reason I've titled this video the way that I've titled it is that this really does make trading, very simplistic. Right now, I've said in the first video on this particular series about obviously this mechanical setup and this mechanical trading structure is that you can overlay other techniques and other tools, and some of the things that I've used and some of the things that I do use, obviously Elliott Wave, Wyckoff, for example, and then overall the clustering techniques to give me a better idea and understanding as to where the higher probability moves are likely to come. So when I'm looking at this right now, I'm saying to myself, well, I've got a 15-minute bottom range from the non-farm payroll Friday. We haven't really gone above this level yet. So right now, there's nothing really on. I would have liked to have taken a smaller trade this morning. Obviously, as I said in the members section, it didn't really play itself out. So just kind of waiting now and waiting to see what happens next. So next thing I want to do is just touch on Aussie dollar. I know a lot of you guys in the members area are following Aussie dollar, and obviously this is a bigger play, bigger move. So what I want to do is first of all share the kind of the bigger picture. Right now, as you can see, I've marked a couple of these things off, and all I've done there is just marked off the last major kind of swing low, last major swing high. But there was one thing that I found quite interesting on this particular move, and it comes down to where we see the liquidity over to the left, right? So as you can see, we we had a rejection from this. We failed to get there this time, right? And then ultimately, as we come back on through, we've almost just swept above liquidity, right? So on a smaller time frame, if you see this sweep in here, we're expecting obviously a strong rejection from this level based on not clearing the level. And again, these are the kinds of overlap things. These are the things I've talked about in Bitcoin. When we were 40K, why we would only see 65K, and then kind of ultimately dropping back down again, is that understanding what the liquidity means is all part and parcel of that story. And these are the kinds of things that make this, an awful lot easier for you, in the long run. So what I'm seeing on this particular move right now is I'm seeing a strong rejection from liquidity. I'm seeing a sweep on a larger time frame. We obviously got these levels here. We've got a point of control down a little bit lower. I don't know how many points this is down a bit lower. So, we got another 85, 96, so around about 100 pips before we see any major reaction, I think, from down low. Now, I don't think this is going to fall straight down, right? So we've got a fair value gap sitting in here. I don't see any reason why we can't come back and then fall down, and then we get another reaction, kind of to the upside. So at the moment, I think Kiwi pretty much the same, right? We've got very similar outlook, and I think these are almost just slightly behind what we currently seeing with Euro. So I think if Euro has a little bit of a dart up, I'd like to see the dart up on Aussie Kiwi pretty much straight after this, within the next day or two. So I'm going to be watching Euro on that smaller time frame just to see. I'm going to drop down on the 4 hour and back to Aussie dollar, because I know Aussie dollar is the main one again for a lot of you guys. So going back to the very first video, right, and I'll put that link in the description below for the video, is understanding this mechanical structure, the mechanical setup. What we're actually looking for is any clue as to where we change the characters, right? And as we drop down from this level, we break down and create a low. We then create a lower high. Then we break through, and obviously you can see this break of structure painted in there. We never really had any decent type of pullback, right? So there's definitely liquidity up here for me. There's definitely liquidity up there for sure. It's just a question of how far up we go, and I think we've got another move in this to come down, right? And I think that this is probably very likely to hold in the grand scheme of things, given where DXY is, and obviously only a month away from the elections. Then I think this is still acting almost as a pullback move for the time being, right? I think once we start to see a rejection, we've got a potential long opportunity on the smaller time frame. We're going to have a short opportunity again, I feel, another once. And then I think we've got a bigger long opportunity, even if it's just for the last, 3 weeks of this particular month, going into that kind of uncertain time early next month. So this is where I think we are at the moment, right? This is why I'm saying it's kind of easy money. It's pretty relaxed. It's just kind of waiting to see what's happening, right? So let's drop down on the 15-minute time frame. And again, if you haven't watched the last video on the mechanical structure, you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, what I'm blabbering on about with this, is it's just making this easy on yourself, right? And that's kind of the core concepts of these types of techniques and these moves. So on a 15-minute time frame, when it decides to load, we're just looking for any clues as to whether or not this move, is actually done yet, right? We got a couple of key areas marked out up above. As you can see, we've got a higher POC. I just don't see us getting all the way up there just yet, right? I think we've got this big gap that we can look at, which is this over here. I wouldn't mind seeing that gap filled on the smaller time frame. Paintbrush still on. So I think first things first, let's see what kind of reaction we get back in this region. I get the feeling right now, gut instinct, that we're probably likely to pull through this level. And then I think from this level, we come back, retest, or we might even retest this particular point before I think we get, a move up. So all I'm waiting for now is a failure on this break of structure on a smaller time frame, and then some kind of indication of that change of character to the upside. All right. So I'm going to finish this as it is, and I will see you obviously on the next stream. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.